And you're watching Teen Watery.
Squidward enters his room in a nightgown with book and cup of tea. Ah, finally, the weekend is here, he says. And this isn't just any old weekend. He gestures to the Dance Quarterly calendar on the wall. This is the weekend that SpongeBob and Patrick go camping. Wouldn't it be great if they got lost in the woods and never came back? A thought bubble appears over Squidward. In Squidward's thoughts, walking along with Patrick, SpongeBob and him both have camping gear strapped to their backs. "Patrick, I'm scared," SpongeBob says. Squidward's thought bubble disappears. "Ho ho," Squidward says. "That would be great." He jumps into bed. "You've waited a long time for this. A soft bed, warm tea, a good book, and 2 whole days with no—" He laughs just like SpongeBob and imitates his goofy, big-eyed face. But then he hears SpongeBob's real laugh outside. "What the—" He goes outside to hear SpongeBob and Patrick in a tent complete with sleeping bags and books. The two are laughing. "SpongeBob, aren't you supposed to be camping?" he asks. SpongeBob replies, "We are camping." Squidward contradicts SpongeBob, saying, "It's not camping if you're 10 feet from your house." A camera zooms in to show to the tent's location. It doesn't matter where you're camping as long as you're outdoors. While all those city folk are inside reading their books, we're out here pitting ourselves against the formidable forces of nature. You want to join us?" "No," Squidward says. "Okay, have fun inside." Squidward leaves. SpongeBob and Patrick pull their book back out, along with a flashlight, and begin to read and giggle. SpongeBob pops into this tent, glaring. "What do you mean, have fun inside?" SpongeBob says, "Just, have fun tomorrow. See you tomorrow." Squidward says, "Oh, bye." He exits. SpongeBob and Patrick continue reading. Squidward enters the tent and gasps, "You little sneak, I see what you're doing." SpongeBob asks, "What?" "I don't think I can't see what you're doing." SpongeBob says, "What?" Squidward says, "You're saying I can't take it." Squidward holds up a tentacle. "Ah, you're saying I'm soft. You think your little have fun inside challenge is going to make me come camping with you, but that is never going to happen. There is no way I'm going to sit out here all night with you two losers, so get used to it." He exits the tent. "Okay, have fun inside," SpongeBob says. Squidward pokes his head back into the tent, blowing SpongeBob and Patrick back with his loud voice. "That's it. I'm in. I'll show you camping." He runs to his house. SpongeBob says to Patrick, "Squidward's going to come camping with us." Both of them climb out of the tent and giggle. Squidward emerges with a large camping backpack. "Now you'll see how a real— Ugh!" He falls face forward on the ground, squished by the immense backpack. Outdoorsman does it. Climbs out from underneath, pulls pouch from backpack. "Here we are, my remote-controlled, self-assembling tent. Watch and learn." SpongeBob takes out binoculars, Patrick a notepad, and a pair of half-moon glasses. Patrick tosses the pouch into the air and presses the remote, but the power fizzles out and the tent appears, unassembled in the pile on the ground. SpongeBob says, "That was great, Squidward, but how do you get inside?" Patrick says, "Yeah, it's all cushy looking." Squidward replies, "It isn't put up yet, you idiots." He grumbles, picking up the tent and fiddling around with it, accidentally ripping it. SpongeBob acts like he and Patrick are still taking notes. "Customization? Genius," Patrick says. Squidward beats on the tent with a wooden stake. "He's tenderizing the ground," SpongeBob realizes. Patrick says, "Of course." Squidward is still struggling with the tent. "Write that down," SpongeBob says. Patrick still appears to be taking notes, but there's just a tic-tac-toe game in progress on his notepad. Squidward gives the pile a huge kick. It automatically becomes an assembled tent. Huh? Voila! The perfect tent collapses to a pile form again. Squidward pushes it out of his way. But what could compare to just lying out under the stars? He takes out a lone blanket and places it on the ground. SpongeBob and Patrick applaud vigorously. "Well, I've worked up an appetite as big as all outdoors. Time for a little grub. I suppose you two are going to stew up some twigs and rocks, right?" SpongeBob laughs. "Nope, we've got something even better. Marshmallows." He pulls out a Marsh King bag and pops a marshmallow into his mouth. Just like the astronauts eat." SpongeBob to Patrick, "Help yourself. Over." He holds out the Marsh King bag. Patrick says, "Yummy." He takes a marshmallow and crams it into his mouth, smashing his helmet. Patrick to SpongeBob, the deliciousness has landed. Squidward exclaims, well, you two astronauts can eat marshmallows, but I'm going to have a can of Swedish barnacle balls. He holds it up so we can read its label, just as soon as I get my can opener. SpongeBob replies, though, but Squidward, didn't you take a can opener when you hiked out here? Why would I bother, Squidward says. We're just 10 feet from my house. But this is the wilderness, says SpongeBob. It doesn't seem fit to the camping spirit. Pretty weenie, Patrick replies. All right, give me a marshmallow, Squidward says. Squidward begins toasting his marshmallow lightly. Patrick, sitting across from him, sets the fire and tries to blow on it to cool it down, but the marshmallow flies off and hits Squidward in the face. Patrick gets another marshmallow and repeats the same thing twice. After 2 marshmallows to the face, Squidward ducks, but the 3rd marshmallow has a boomerang effect and hits Squidward in the back of the head. Okay, besides spitting molten food puffs at me, Squidward says, what else do you do for fun? SpongeBob says, well, after a long day of camping, it's nice to unwind with a nice, relaxing campfire song. I call this one the Campfire Song, he says before he begins to sing. Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. Our CAMPFIRESONG song. And if you don't think that we can sing it faster, then you're wrong. But it'll help if you just sing along. Bum bum bum. Patrick makes noises to the beat of the song. Both of them at once, Patrick slightly behind SpongeBob in the words. CAMPFIRESONG song. CAMPFIRESONG song. Patrick. SpongeBob says, and if you don't think that we can sing it faster, then you're wrong. But it'll help if you just sing along. Patrick says, sing another song. SpongeBob continues. CAMPFIRESONG song. Patrick continues. A song, CAMPFIRE. SpongeBob says, Squidward, but Squidward stays in silence. Good, it'll help if you just sing along. SpongeBob smashes his ukulele like a guitar at the end of a rock show. Patrick does the same with his newfound drum set. Oh yeah, now wasn't that relaxing, Squidward? Squidward says, no, this is relaxing. He holds up his clarinet and begins playing Kumbaya. SpongeBob and Patrick look alarmed. Oh no, I'll save you, Squidward, SpongeBob exclaims. He picks up a marshmallow and slingshots it at Squidward. It goes up his clarinet and lands in the back of his throat. SpongeBob comes over to assist him. Squidward, are you all right? That's it. Chew, chew, and swallow. There, better? Squidward exclaims, better? I was just fine until you lodged that ballistic junk food into my windpipe. SpongeBob exclaims, but I had to. It's too dangerous to play the clarinet that loudly out here in the wilderness. It might attract a sea bear. Squidward says in a low, mocking, cautious tone, a sea bear? You mean like the ones that, in an angry tone, don't exist? SpongeBob replies, what are you saying? Squidward says, there's no such thing. They're just a myth. SpongeBob says, oh no, Squidward. Sea bears are all too real. It says so in the Bikini Bottom Inquirer. He holds up a cheesy tabloid newspaper. Squidward reads the cover story. I married a sea bear? Patrick, yeah, and Fake Science Monthly. He holds up a newspaper. Squidward reads, sea bears and fairy tales are real? That's the stupidest thing I've ever read. Patrick replies, well, maybe it is stupid, but it's also dumb. SpongeBob replies, Patrick's right, Squidward. The sea bears are no laughing matter. Why, once I knew this guy who 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 knew this guy's cousin. Squidward says, you're right. I should act more careful. In fact, why don't you tell me all of the things I shouldn't do if I want to keep sea bears away? SpongeBob says, okay, that's easy. First off, don't play the clarinet. Squidward listens and continues, okay, then what? SpongeBob says, never wave your flashlight back and forth really fast. Patrick continues, flashlights are their natural prey. Squidward says, you're kidding. SpongeBob continues, don't stomp around. They take that as a challenge. Yeah, Patrick says. Squidward continues writing on his notepad. Go on, SpongeBob says. Don't ever eat cheese. Sliced or cubed? Squidward inquires. SpongeBob whispers with Patrick. Cubed. Sliced is fine. Squidward continues. Yeah, and? Never wear a sombrero, SpongeBob says. In a goofy fashion, Patrick says. Or clown shoes, SpongeBob says. Or a hoop skirt, Patrick says. And never, SpongeBob continues. Patrick, ever, he adds. SpongeBob, ever, he even continues further. Patrick says, duh. Both of them at once say, screech like a chimpanzee. Squidward says, wow, that's amazing how many things can set a sea bear off. Both SpongeBob and Patrick huddle together and shudder. They're horrible. Squidward says, and suddenly, I have the sense we're all in danger. Both of them ask, why? Squidward says, I don't know. He runs off and returns with a flashlight, clown shoes, hoop skirt, sombrero, and tray full of cubed cheese with a diabolical look on his face. Just a feeling. SpongeBob is horrified. No, he says. Squidward says, yes. SpongeBob says, no. Squidward begins to make chimp noises. Both SpongeBob and Patrick say, Squidward, please don't. But Squidward continues hooting, stomping, and waving his flashlight around. What are we gonna do? Patrick says. A sea bear's sure to come right and eat us. SpongeBob says, don't worry, Patrick. I'll draw us an anti-sea bear circle in the dirt. He takes a stick and draws a circle around himself and Patrick. Patrick says, good thinking. All the experts say it's the only defense against a sea bear attack. Squidward laughs. You guys are so gullible. See, I did everything that attracts a sea bear, and nothing happened. If sea bears really exist, why didn't one show up? SpongeBob says, maybe it's because you're not wearing your sombrero in a goofy fashion. Oh, pfft, Squidward says, sorry. How silly of me. You mean like this? Squidward tilts his sombrero to the right, laughing, but something off screen takes the hat and turns it upside down instead. No, like that, SpongeBob says. The camera zooms out to show that the sea bear inverted Squidward's sombrero. It looks like a giant fish with the head of a bear and claws on its fins. It begins to maul off camera the screaming Squidward, while SpongeBob and Patrick are still cuddled inside their anti-sea bear circle. SpongeBob asks, Squidward, are you okay? Squidward looks bruised and battered. No. SpongeBob says, quick, jump inside our anti-sea bear circle right before he comes back. Patrick says, yeah, sea bears often attack more than once. Squidward asks, though, are you crazy? A dirt circle won't stop that monster. I'm running for my life. Both of them exclaim, no. The sea bear comes back and resumes mauling Squidward. Don't run. The sea bears hate that, SpongeBob says. Thanks for the tip. I guess I'll just limp home then, Squidward says. Both of them exclaim once more, no. The sea bear comes back and resumes mauling Squidward. They hate limping more than running, SpongeBob says. Well, I guess I'll just have, Squidward says. The sea bear comes back and resumes mauling Squidward again. I should have warned you about crawling, SpongeBob says. The sea bear comes back and resumes mauling Squidward. What did I do that time? Squidward says. I don't know, says SpongeBob. I guess he just doesn't like you. Patrick says, pretend to be somebody else. SpongeBob says, here, draw a circle. He tosses Squidward a stick with which to do so. Okay, says Squidward. The sea bear comes back and resumes mauling Squidward. That was an oval, says SpongeBob. It has to be a circle. Squidward runs and climbs on top of SpongeBob and Patrick, who are still sitting in their own circle. Move over. The sea bear comes up to the circle, sniffs it, points a threatening claw at Squidward, and leaves. Hey, it worked. You guys saved my life. All three of them cheer at once. Hooray. SpongeBob says, yeah, I'm glad it was just a sea bear. This circle would never hold back a sea rhinoceros. What attracts them? Squidward says, the sound of a sea bear attack, says Patrick. A modified rhinoceros with fins appears, snorting. SpongeBob says, heh, good thing we're all wearing our anti-sea bear rhinoceros undergarments, heh heh. Right, Squidward? Squidward asks inquisitively, huh? Scene.